Alright, let's have a look at Old World Melbourne, Australia. First, let's check out Wiki and get their rundown, and we'll roll through some pictures. And this place is interesting historical narrative. Let's flipping through. Give you a little pre-European settlement, and then they get the penal colonies coming, the late 1700s. Pretty sparse. Foundation of a town happens 1835. Alright, let's get down here to early colonization and displacement. Began as a collection of tents and huts. That's before they were cutting the big stones, I take it. They polluted their river and had a typhoid fever epidemic in 1850, resulting in many deaths. Let's get to the gold rush. The gold rush was where things get a little bit crazy. Alright, 1850s gold rush, similar to the San Francisco story, similar to other stories we find around the world. We have this massive population boom. Here they say the population doubled within a year. In 1852, 75,000 people arrived. And it begins to jump, continues to jump. By 1860, they say they were at 500,000 people. Somewhere in here it also says this was at one point in time it was the second largest. There it is. Melbourne's population reached 280,000 in 1880, 445,000 in 1889, and for a time was the second largest city in the British Empire after London. Modern day says less than 200,000. So you had this big boom and then this petering off over time to what we see today. So let's have a look at Melbourne from the time. My videos, we like to explore the buildings, the construction of the buildings, the infrastructure surrounding the buildings. So let's see what Melbourne has to offer. So this one jumps out at me right away, the little tower on the top for some reason, a bit of a circular corner. Something unique, very unique about this one. You have similar architecture to what we see in the old world all around the world. A little fence or gate along the ridge of the roofs. There you have it again. Similar style chimneys as well, what we would call chimneys, to what we've seen in previous photos from the New York Clark Mansion. Had some similar architecture to this. Check out that video if you haven't yet. Here's a picture of a fire, supposedly. This, they're called the Coffee Palace. Now we have a little bit of this architecture popping up now. You'll see this in later photos as well. They don't look like they're connected with any sort of power lines or anything like that. And it's a curious time anyway for all this infrastructure to be in place, even if they were connected by wires. So you'll see that evidence again if you do this research. You'll see it all over the world. There it is again. Spectacular building. I like this one. You get that real rail car sense. Again, the rail car infrastructure you see all over the world. Seeing it here in Melbourne as well. Very Victorian Gothic style on the right here. And again, we see the same infrastructure. At a time where most people were using horse and buggy. So. It really is a spectacular building, this one. I always like to point out the bridge work in all these old cities as well. The undertaking of building a bridge like this in the fashion that they did it. Of course, you get the canals built right in. It's just the infrastructure, the size of the projects is immense. Get these old photos that get hazy as we go toward the background, and the horizon becomes a lot more difficult to discern. But you can definitely get that sense up here with the tech, the architecture. Definite horse and buggy days. One thing I want to draw your attention to whenever you see anything from this era is the curb work up against the buildings. And the streets themselves are, I would say, we're either looking at the brick style paved streets with the rail car tracks, or they may have removed the bricks, which I've seen in many photos around the world as well, as part of destroying the old infrastructure with the rail car tracks and making way for the new age of the automobile and paving roads. This one shows it a little bit better. An older photo, 1870s I believe they say. You can see here, I mean, we have a bit of a muddy look to the roads, but there's portions where the mud isn't covering it and you can really get a sense of that brickwork. So we're in horse and buggy era, and we've got brick laid streets and rail cars. And this again repeats itself the world over. A bit of a blurry photo, the Princess Theatre. Remember, this is Melbourne, Australia. This is all supposed to have been the results of a gold rush boom. No, I like this one. It's really showing you, giving you a good visual on these here, whatever they are. Power poles, I guess. Wireless power poles from the 1800s. Horse and buggy. All the signs look like such an afterthought on the fronts of these buildings, covering up what looks like this. Let's see. Bit of a dome structure on top there, not quite getting it. Let's be cut off. Melbourne. Much more to Melbourne. You see the clock towers as well around the world. And you have the poles here, all the way down the tops of the buildings. You see them back there too. Very unpatriotic, not for them not to have the flag flying. Maybe there's another purpose. And just when you think you've seen all the old style buildings in the city, you get something like this in the background. These very sharp peaks. I don't know if I can recognize that from any other photo I've found. This one having a feel of old world Russia or something, or World's Fair type of feel to me. We have a train station. I think 60s. Infrastructure still intact at that time, still using these city trains, I'll call them. And there you have some of the old brick or block work. Looks about 20s. Really try to wrap your head around the construction of a building like this, even for the modern age. Where to begin on how to provide a quote for a job like this is very difficult to wrap your head around. The amount of excavation you would have to do for such a heavy building to exist here and not shift over time is something most people don't consider, but it would require some serious digging. And then you apply that to the fact that these cities are built out in such a manner with consistent building next to building next to building, and we're talking about the 1800s. That's a lot of spades, a lot of digging, it's a lot of sore wrists, sore muscles, and a lot of time that they didn't seem to have. There's a visual to show you the scale, really, of the types of things we're looking at. These guys look like they're doing a bit of a cleanup operation. Here again is a very old photo, but you can see it again in the streets. You see a bit of the mud here, and you see how it's cleared off here. Very straight. Would be very drivable. I like the old train stations. I picture that world. Hop on a train, visit a friend, visit some family. I guess it's a bit of a romantic feeling that we have in our consciousness. Possibly a memory. Queen Victoria Memorial Hospital. I didn't see any other photos but this one. Very interesting looking building. Of course it's royal. And this one, like a ghost from the past sitting in the middle of modern day. The texture of the building really pops out at me compared to the way that we build these days. You can see modern day style in the background, brutalist style we call that. No artistic flair to the build. And then you have this thing. Oh, cathedral, you had to have the cathedrals in there. Church gets their share. There's a good visual again of these guys. I'd like to dig a little deeper into what we're actually looking at there, or what the explanation is for it. A little Supreme Court modern day, Supreme Court olden day. Oops. Ooh, a horse and buggy. There's the horse getting a break from all the work that he has to perform, or she. Poor horses. And this almost looks like just the remnants of something stuck in the middle. And a classic construction photo. They've got her all scaffolded up, it looks like. Still working on the building. Haven't quite put the dome on there just yet. So close. I suppose they were close enough to finish off all the roads around the excavation. Get the curbs in there, make them look really old. And they must have maybe put the main building construction on hold for a bit while they finished up the streets and covered them with some mud for the horses so that it didn't hurt their hooves. Then they could continue on their way up. But the scaffold ends here and then it begins again up there, so it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. No shortage of advertisements though along the fence. Horse and buggy days, remember. So this is a little snapshot of Melbourne. I wanted to share what I found with you. Make what you will of it. You probably get an idea of my angle. I'm one to believe that we are only being giving a small fraction of the truth and a whole helping of lies to keep the truth down. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.